Imagine a future where the jobs we know have disappeared. Robotic arms no longer just assemble cars, they manage your finances, curate your news, and even control your daily life. In this world, the most critical decisions are no longer made by humans, but by invisible algorithms operating behind the scenes. This isn't some distant future, it's the present. Every day, our lives become more intertwined with technologies we barely understand. From artificial intelligence replacing workers in offices and factories to autonomous weapons redefining global conflicts, we are at a crossroads. Are we building a future that uplifts humanity, or one that traps us in irreversible isolation? Are we creating tools for prosperity, or sowing the seeds of our own extinction? This isn't science fiction. This is our reality, and perhaps our last chance to decide who we want to be. For centuries, humanity has believed in progress as its inevitable destiny. From the invention of the wheel to the rise of the Industrial Revolution, we've celebrated every advance as a triumph of creativity. But what happens when our tools begin to replace us? When technology stops being an ally and becomes an implacable competitor? Artificial intelligence and robotics are reshaping the global economy at an unprecedented pace. By 2025, 85 million jobs are expected to vanish due to automation, according to the World Economic Forum. But it's not just jobs that are at stake. It's our identities as workers, citizens, and ultimately, as humans. This documentary examines a world where the decisions we make today will shape the reality we live in tomorrow. From labor challenges to the looming threat of total surveillance, from Mars colonization for the wealthiest to the social isolation redefining human relationships, how do we navigate a future moving faster than we can comprehend? This is not a journey into what might be. It's an exploration of the path we're already walking. This is the story of our era, an era of dazzling promises and hidden dangers. This is our crossroads. Throughout history, humanity has always feared being replaced by its own creations. From the first steam engines to Henry Ford's assembly line, technology has displaced workers in the name of progress. But never before have we faced a threat as global and accelerated as artificial intelligence. Today, it's no longer just about replacing manual laborers. Now, highly skilled jobs, ranging from doctors to software developers, are at risk of being replaced by algorithms that don't need rest, salaries, or benefits. In 2022, over 500,000 industrial robots were installed in factories worldwide, with an annual growth rate of 31% in developed nations. Meanwhile, tools like ChatGPT, GPS, and Midjourney are starting to replace creative tasks, from writing articles to designing graphics. This phenomenon, known as advanced automation, is penetrating every industry. A study by McKinsey estimates that 60% of all occupations have at least a third of activities that could be automated within the next 5 years. For many families, this isn't just a statistic, it's a reality. Take, for instance, truck drivers in the United States, where over 3 million people rely on this occupation. With the advent of autonomous trucks developed by companies like Tesla and Waymo, these jobs could disappear within a decade. And it's not just them. Teachers, lawyers, and even doctors are witnessing how machines begin to perform tasks that once required years of study and human expertise. This change isn't gradual. Technology is advancing at an exponential pace, and the laws and policies meant to protect workers are struggling to keep up. Meanwhile, inequality is skyrocketing. Tech corporations controlling these innovations are amassing unprecedented power and wealth, leaving millions with no options or future. The question isn't whether massive unemployment due to artificial intelligence will happen. It's how we'll face the consequences when it does. We must prepare to tackle this technological revolution without leaving millions behind. Automation is no longer a future possibility. It's here, redefining entire industries in real time. To understand its impact, we must examine the sectors most affected. In manufacturing, for instance, over 50% of human labor has been replaced by robots in countries like Japan and South Korea. Productivity is soaring, but at the cost of millions of jobs. In the United States, the introduction of automated systems in warehouses like Amazon's has reduced the need for human workers by 30% since 2018. The picture isn't much better in the service sector. Call centers, accounting, and even customer service have undergone radical changes with the use of chatbots and artificial intelligence algorithms like GPT-4, capable of handling thousands of queries simultaneously. By 2030, projections suggest that up to 40% of administrative jobs will be absorbed by technological tools. The effect is global, but not equitable. Emerging economies, where cheap labor has been the cornerstone of development, are facing an existential crisis. In Bangladesh, for example, over 80% of export revenue relies on the textile industry. Yet robots like Sobot, capable of assembling clothing faster and with greater precision than humans, threaten to displace millions of workers. What's most alarming isn't just the loss of jobs, but the speed at which it's happening. According to a report by the OECD and BBC, advanced industries are adopting these technologies 12 times faster than during the Industrial Revolution. Back then, societies had decades to adapt. Today, we don't have that luxury of time. Mass unemployment has consequences that extend far beyond economics. When communities lose their livelihoods, inequality rises, social tensions flare, and protests become more frequent. What happens when work is no longer an option, but a privilege reserved for the few who control these technologies? Automation promises efficiency and progress, but it leaves a critical question unanswered. What do we do with the millions of people who depend on these jobs to survive? If employment is no longer guaranteed, how do we redefine the social contract between governments, businesses, and society? We've already seen how automation is infiltrating every corner of the economy, displacing millions of workers. But this dilemma goes far beyond job loss. We face a fundamental question. What happens when work, a cornerstone of identity and stability for most people, disappears? How do we rebuild a society where technology generates all the wealth, but people no longer have access to it? The World Economic Forum warns that if the effects of mass unemployment are not managed properly, they could lead to a social crisis of unprecedented proportions. In more extreme scenarios, this inequality could trigger uprisings and a widespread rejection of technology. Some experts even predict the emergence of neo-Luddites, people who destroy robots and automated systems in a modern twist on the 19th century movement. But this isn't just a social issue. Mass unemployment has devastating implications for the economy. If millions of people lose their purchasing power because they no longer have income, the capitalist system as we know it could collapse. We've already seen signs of this. Countries like Japan face a combination of automation and an aging population, which has stalled their economy for decades. Then there's the political problem. The concentration of wealth in the hands of tech corporations creates a new reality. Who really holds the power? Companies like Google, Amazon, and OpenAI are leading the technological race, surpassing the GDP of many nations. What happens when these tech giants control not only the tools, but also the decisions about who can participate in the economy of the future? Will the world of tomorrow be a place where only a privileged few enjoy the benefits of technology, while the rest are left behind in poverty and uncertainty? Are we building a machine-driven society at the cost of losing our humanity? These are the questions that lead us to explore how we can tackle this dilemma before it's too late. The dilemma is real and urgent, but not insurmountable. Humanity has faced economic transformations before. The Industrial Revolution replaced manual laborers with machines, and while the change was traumatic, new opportunities emerged: expansion in education, the rise of the middle class, and the diversification of jobs. The key now is to manage this new revolution with intelligence and humanity. Today, governments, companies, and academics are considering solutions to mitigate the impact of mass unemployment. One of the most prominent proposals is universal basic income, a guaranteed payment that allows people to live without relying on traditional jobs. Countries like Finland and Canada have already conducted pilot programs with promising results, showing that recipients experience reduced stress and greater well-being. But universal basic income is not the only solution. Education and workforce retraining will play a crucial role. The jobs of the future will demand entirely new skills, from programming to emotional intelligence for tasks that machines can't handle. Platforms like Coursera and Khan Academy are already democratizing access to education, enabling millions to acquire skills in technology, design, and entrepreneurship. Moreover, regulation will be essential. In Europe, work is underway to create an ethical framework for artificial intelligence, ensuring transparency, accountability, and fairness. These measures aim to balance technological innovation with the protection of human and labor rights. These solutions aren't perfect, nor are they guaranteed, but they provide a roadmap to a future where machines work for us, not against us, where technology amplifies human potential instead of replacing it. Humanity now stands at a historic crossroads. On one hand, technologies like artificial intelligence and automation have the power to free millions from repetitive and exhausting work, offering a future full of creative possibilities and innovation. On the other hand, without conscious decisions, these same tools could become a catalyst for unprecedented inequality. How will we navigate this transition? Will we build a more inclusive society, or will technology deepen the divide between rich and poor, between those who control the machines and those left out of the system? Artificial intelligence has no values, no compassion, and no bias. It's up to us to decide how we use it. The story of this revolution is unwritten, and the pen is in our hands. It may seem like an overwhelming challenge, but humanity has proven time and again its ability to adapt and thrive. This is a moment for global collaboration, ethical innovation, and above all, hope. In the digital era, every click we make, every word spoken near a device leaves a trace that, when combined with millions of others, tells the story of who we are, what we want, and what we have. Privacy, once a fundamental right, now seems to be fading like a shadow at the dawn of total surveillance. Tech giants collect personal data on an unimaginable scale. Governments deploy mass surveillance systems with cameras that don't just see but understand who you are and what you're doing. Recent estimates reveal that China alone has over 600 million cameras monitoring its population. But this isn't limited to one country. From supermarkets to our own homes, how free are we really? Are we trading privacy for convenience? And ultimately, who holds the reins of this information? Privacy has been a cornerstone of human freedom for centuries. It's in solitude that we find the space to reflect, grow, and connect with our emotions. Yet, in the 21st century, this concept seems to be vanishing at an alarming rate. The technological revolution has brought tools that record every detail of our existence, from our purchases to our most personal conversations. Surveillance isn't new. Ancient empires used spies to control their subjects, and during the Cold War, intelligence agencies extensively gathered information on citizens. But today, the scale and sophistication have reached unprecedented levels. A 2023 study revealed that over 60% of the global population lives under some form of constant digital surveillance. The issue isn't limited to authoritarian governments. It's present even in modern democracies. Tech companies collect and analyze our data to predict and manipulate our behaviors. Targeted advertising is just the beginning. An ecosystem is being built where even our most intimate thoughts could be turned against us. What does it mean for our freedom when privacy becomes a commodity? How far are we willing to go in sacrificing our intimacy for convenience and efficiency? And most importantly, who watches the watchers? Today, we're more connected than ever before. Our phones, computers, and smart devices track every interaction, from the moment we check our social media in the morning to when we order dinner for delivery. Every step we take leaves a digital trail. But who is following that trail, and for what purpose? Imagine walking down a crowded street. At every step, facial recognition cameras don't just detect your presence. They access your digital history, your purchases, your interactions, even your emotions based on facial expressions. This isn't science fiction. In China, the social credit system already uses this technology to reward or punish its citizens. And it's not just governments collecting our data. Companies like Meta, Google, and Amazon manage trillions of gigabytes of personal information. In 2022, the global data market was estimated to be worth $245 billion. These data aren't just numbers. They represent your preferences, your decisions, and even your secrets. The risks don't stop at the commercial use of data. Hackers exploiting these systems have caused some of the largest data breaches in recent history. In 2021, a massive cyber attack exposed confidential information from over 700 million LinkedIn users, a stark reminder that digital security can often be an illusion. As our reliance on technology grows, so does our vulnerability. Is it too late to regain control of our digital lives? Or can we still prevent these tools from defining and enslaving us? Throughout history, power has been tied to information. But in our era, collecting and exploiting that information has never been easier. The core dilemma we face isn't just mass surveillance, but the implications of living in a world where our data no longer belongs to us. Who controls the future when machines know more about us than we know about ourselves? In authoritarian regimes, digital control is absolute. In China, the social credit system uses cameras, artificial intelligence, and personal data to assign scores to citizens. Those with low scores face restrictions. They can't travel, find employment, or even access basic services. Even in democratic nations, the lines between privacy and control are blurring. Hyper-control doesn't just threaten our privacy. As we delegate decisions to algorithms, we risk losing the ability to question them. What happens when artificial intelligence, based on biased or incomplete data, decides whether you're hired for a job or approved for a loan? In 2020, an algorithm used by Amazon for hiring decisions showed a clear bias against women, perpetuating existing inequalities. The ultimate question is this: are we creating a world where digital control ensures security, or one where it turns citizens into manipulable statistics? And if technology advances faster than laws and ethics, who will stop the transformation of democracies into dystopias? While the threat of hyper-control and the loss of privacy is real, we are not entirely powerless. Across the world, civil society, technology experts, and international organizations are raising their voices and proposing innovative solutions to counter this digital invasion. One of the first lines of defense is legislation. In the European Union, the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, has set global standards requiring companies to obtain explicit consent before collecting personal information. Despite its limitations, the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, is an example of how laws can protect us. A technological counterculture is also emerging. Tools like privacy-focused browsers, decentralized networks, and encryption apps are empowering users to regain some control. By 2023, over 40% of Internet users in the United States reported using the web to protect their information. But it's not all about laws or technology. As individuals, we can also take action. Educating ourselves about the risks, limiting the information we share, and demanding greater transparency from companies and governments are all steps in the right direction. Initiatives like Data Privacy Day are mobilizing millions to raise awareness about this critical issue. The question isn't whether we can reverse the trend toward hypercontrol, but whether we will choose to do so. Every small act of resistance matters, and together we can build a future where technology serves humanity rather than the other way around. The 21st century has brought us an unavoidable dilemma. The more we rely on technology, the more we sacrifice our privacy. The data we share, voluntarily or not, is used to predict, influence, and even control our decisions. From digital marketing to mass surveillance systems, the power of information is absolute. But where does that leave our humanity in the process? The fight for our privacy is just one of many battles we face in this digital age. We live in a digital world where more and more of our lives are recorded, stored, and protected by security systems we believe to be impenetrable. But are we truly prepared for what's coming? Our banks, identities, and even relationships are protected by an invisible barrier, cryptography. But what happens if that barrier is no longer sufficient? Quantum computing is the master key threatening to unlock these codes. Instead of requiring thousands of years to crack a security key, quantum computing could do it in seconds. Everything we consider secure, from our bank passwords to the darkest secrets of governments and corporations, could be breached without warning. The rapid advances in this field are so significant that some experts estimate we are just years away from quantum computing dismantling the security layers that underpin our trust. Who will control this technology? What happens if it falls into the hands of hackers or even a hostile nation? Imagine a single attack that could destroy the global financial infrastructure, topple governments, or expose vital military secrets. It's an apocalyptic scenario, but it's a reality we're hurtling toward. And the worst part? We're on the verge of crossing that threshold. When we do, the security we once knew will be a thing of the past. Are we ready to face it? Quantum computing represents one of the most groundbreaking and revolutionary advancements of the modern era, a leap of almost cosmic proportions in computing. While traditional computers process information as ones and zeros, quantum computing uses qubits, subatomic particles that can exist in multiple states at once. This enables quantum computers to perform calculations much faster. Although quantum computing has been in development since the 1980s, only recently have technological advancements revealed its real potential. Major tech companies like IBM, Google, and D-Wave are already investing billions to build operational quantum computers. Experts predict that in just a few years, these systems could solve problems that are currently impossible for traditional computers. But there's a shadow looming over this bright future. The same processing power that makes quantum computing so promising also makes it an epic threat to global security. The impact it will have on security networks, financial systems, and the most closely guarded secrets of governments and corporations is beyond our full comprehension. The question is, how can we prepare for what lies ahead? The future of quantum computing presents us with an ethical and technological dilemma. While some celebrate the potential of quantum computing to revolutionize medicine, science, and artificial intelligence, others warn of its destructive capabilities. Could this technology lead us to a safer, more efficient world, or will it ignite a massive collapse of our digital infrastructure? Quantum computing, though it may sound like a futuristic technology, is already here, and its implications, both positive and negative, are unfolding rapidly. To grasp its impact, we must first understand how current cybersecurity systems are built and why they are so vulnerable to the power of quantum computing. Today's digital security systems, from passwords to banking transactions, rely heavily on cryptography based on the factorization of large numbers. The difficulty of factoring large numbers with traditional computers is what keeps our networks secure, but quantum computing has the ability to solve these problems exponentially faster, rendering these security systems vulnerable in the blink of an eye. For instance, a sufficiently powerful quantum computer could crack the world's most secure passwords in mere minutes or even seconds. Banking systems, critical government infrastructures, and national security databases could all be within reach of a hacker equipped with the right tools. The real danger lies not just in systems being hacked, but in the consequences of such breaches. A group of individuals with access to quantum computing could, in theory, destabilize entire economies, manipulate elections, or even attack systems controlling critical infrastructures. This creates a paradox. While the positive applications of quantum computing, such as transforming medicine, advancing scientific research, and accelerating drug development, could change the world, the threat it poses to global security cannot be underestimated. Experts in cybersecurity, like the renowned Bruce Schneier, have warned that governments and corporations need to take action now, as the danger is much closer than we think. Time is running out. Some countries and companies are already developing quantum-resistant cryptographic technologies, but quantum advancements are progressing at an accelerated pace. How will we protect ourselves when the threat arrives at our doorstep? Imagine a not-so-distant future where the foundations of digital security collapse. A massive cyber attack orchestrated by hackers with access to quantum computers could wipe out everything we consider secure. The consequences would not only be economic, but also social and political. The question isn't whether such an attack could happen, but when. This is not merely a technical dilemma, it is an existential one. Governments are already struggling to protect their systems from conventional attacks, and cyber attacks are becoming increasingly common. In 2023, ransomware attacks cost businesses over $20 billion, a number that continues to grow. Quantum computing could rewrite the rules entirely. Its ability to crack even the most robust security keys in record time poses unprecedented risks, not only to citizens' bank accounts, but also to weapon systems, governmental infrastructures, and critical networks that keep the modern world functioning.